are capable of killing their prey by constricting them. And every time the chest collapses, when they exhale, they squeeze tighter, and if the chest can't expand, the organism can't draw air into its lungs, right? Well, a turtle has a solid shell. Its shell doesn't expand and contract with each breath. So how is it capable of breathing?
Isn't it use its mouth to like push air into the lungs or something?
But the lungs, in order to expand and contract, need to have room made for them.
Is it the muscles near like the cloaca or something are supposed to like contract or something? I looked it up.
The muscles in the cloaca?
Near that's what it said.
That's actually a whole nother story.
Oh.
That has nothing to do with the lungs.
Oh.
But I'll go over that in a second.
The lungs is on its back, so it has room on top. Yeah.
I guess the organs push themselves down.
Well, the rest of them is.
The lungs aren't muscular, right? We have a diaphragm. Reptiles and amphibians do not. Our diaphragm is what's responsible for our lungs being able to, for our chest cavity being able to expand, for our lungs to draw in air, and then the diaphragm pushes up into the lungs to expel the air. If all they had was an empty space in there, then what's to draw the air into the lungs and then push it out? There has to be some kind of movement internally to draw air in and out of the lungs. Without a shell that can expand and contract, that movement comes from the head and the limbs. Drawing the limbs inward and outward allows for, as they draw the limbs inward, the organs and the muscles push in towards the lungs and cause them to collapse. As the limbs move outward, it allows more room for the organs to expand and the lungs can draw in air. Now, turtles can't go around all day doing that. And turtles can hold their breath for a pretty long time. So like aquatic turtles, they'll hold their breath for a while, they'll go up and they'll take a breath, and it's no big deal. But many times, turtles have to hibernate, especially aquatic turtles that live in fresh water. They need to hibernate in the winter. This is usually done underwater. But even those turtles that hibernate above ground, they need to be able to breathe. Now, you mentioned they can constrict their cloaca. Turtles, not all turtles, but many turtles can breathe through both ends. They can breathe through their butts, or in this case it's their cloaca. It's kind of like nature playing a joke on the animal, but when they need to conserve energy, they use cloacal breathing in order to breathe because it uses a lot less energy. It's a little muscle just inside the cloaca that can expand and contract and draw air into the cloaca, and it's highly vascularized. Being that the turtle doesn't really require much energy because it's hibernating, that's enough oxygen being absorbed in there to allow for enough diffusion of the oxygen for the organism to survive. Moving the muscles in order to do the lung breathing requires too much energy. And so during hibernation, they don't lung breathe. They breathe through their cloaca. Some turtles just breathe that way all the time.
They can breathe this underwater?
Well, they can draw water into the cloaca, and then it absorbs oxygen from the water through diffusion. So the oxygen will diffuse, even though it's small amounts, it doesn't matter. The turtle isn't expending much energy. And most of the metabolism that's going on is actually anaerobic. So they have a way to combat that as well, actually. Because most of the metabolism is anaerobic, what is it that builds up in the tissues?
Lactic acid.
Lactic acid. Now you can't just go 3 months with lactic acid building up. So the shell, the turtle's shell, actually helps to neutralize the lactic acid in 2 ways. Number one, it can take up lactic acid to remove some from the body, and number two, it releases bicarbonate to neutralize the acidity of the lactic acid. And so the turtle's able to survive for months at a time underwater in a decreased state of metabolism during hibernation. And it's all because it can breathe through its butt. Right? Life story of a turtle. There's actually another organism, there's an aquatic organism that breathes through its butt, and this one's a true butt breather because it's actually got a respiratory tree, like actual respiratory structure attached to its anus.
Wow.
Anyone know what it is? A plethora of useless information. Sea cucumber. Sea cucumbers breathe through their butts, like a true respiratory tree attached to the anus. And what's even better is when they feel like threatened, some of them can actually expel the respiratory tree out their butts, being that they're going to be running away that way, and the predator's over there. They just crap out the respiratory tree, and the predator sits there and eats it, while the rest of the sea cucumber runs away at like a 0.5 millimeter an hour. So by the time he's done with the respiratory tree, he's gone. Interesting little creatures. So anyway, turtles. Go back to your turtles.